When Elspeth had spoken in Irvine about her beliefs at Hugh White's house, the controversy was almost immediate. After only 3 weeks of staying in the town and speaking to those who came to hear her, she decided, along with Hugh, that she should return to Glasgow. But when he was expelled from the Relief Church, she returned with him and assumed the title of Friend Mother at the meetings they continued to hold at his home. The people of Irvine began to refer to her as Lucky Buchan, which is a very witchy epithet. Some believed she was casting glamours on her followers and holding them under her spell. Quickly, the Buchanite meetings were met with protests, and the garden tent they met in was stoned at times. The borough fiscal, Patrick Hunter, became a follower and tried to protect them, bringing their meetings to his house, but that only enraged the people of the town further. Attending the meetings soon meant running the gauntlet of an angry mob, and Elspeth always took care to make sure everyone who arrived was unhurt and received her full sympathy for what they had endured. Not everyone who attended the meetings was there as Elspeth's follower, though. Many came either just to observe this curious oddity or to openly debate and mock the Buchanite ideology. It's very possible, judging by his later knowledge of the intricacies of the Buchanites, that Robert Burns was one of the attendees. It is even possible that he was trying to court one of Elspeth's followers, Jean Gardner, but he certainly did not follow them when they left Irvine. Elspeth's followers' businesses were boycotted by locals, and the local magistrates turned a blind eye to the increasing violence of the protests at the Buchanite meetings, and finally the situation came to a violent head. The mob broke into Mr. Hunter's house and physically picked up and carried Elspeth out of Irvine and all the way to Stewarton. On the way, they lifted her up, told her to fly, and dropped her repeatedly. They apparently said, "She can't flee yet. We mun tuck her a wee bit further and try again." She was also only saved from being thrown into a river by someone interceding. Otherwise, she might well have drowned. But it was dark, and in the confusion of the shouting mob, Elspeth managed to escape and made her way back to Irvine. Sick from her injuries, it was arranged for her to be taken by cart back to Glasgow with one of her female followers, Mrs. Gibson, as her nursemaid, and a young follower by the name of Andrew Innes as their bodyguard. Elspeth prophesied that Irvine would be devoured by the dragon of Revelations, but she was determined to find a place for her followers. After an abortive attempt to go back to Irvine and another abortive attempt to settle them in Mutt Hill, Perthshire, where young Andrew Innes came from, they finally banded together with their worldly goods and took to the road south from Irvine towards Nithsdale and Galloway. Along the way, they sang hymns that Hugh White had written for them, and they slept most nights under the stars. Eventually, this flight into the wilderness led to Cricket Lynn and Closeburn, where they were to establish their first commune, while they waited for Elspeth's prophesied Armageddon.